Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into a really chilling psychological phenomenon, one that all started with a story that you probably think you know, a story about what happens when a whole crowd of people sees something terrible and nobody does a thing. So this headline from the New York Times, it just sent shockwaves everywhere. It introduced the world to the story of Kitty Genovese, and her name almost instantly became a kind of shorthand for apathy, for the coldness of city life. And for decades, the story that was told went something like this. For more than 30 minutes, dozens of people saw or heard this horrific attack unfold. The killer was actually scared off once, but then he came back twice to finish the assault. All the while, the story goes, witnesses just did nothing. Not until it was way, way too late. It seemed like this open and shut case of total moral failure. But here's the thing. That story, the one that literally launched an entire field of psychological study, it isn't quite what it seems. You know, when researchers actually went back and dug into the court records, they found that the reality was so much more complicated and honestly, just tragically confusing. The real documented facts, well, they paint a totally different picture. First off, there weren't 38 direct eyewitnesses. Most people just heard screams and had no idea what was going on. And the attacks, they weren't one continuous event. They were separated by time and location. The final fatal assault actually happened inside a stairwell, completely hidden from view. And someone did intervene. A neighbor shouted, which scared the attacker off the first time. Now, of course, this doesn't change the tragic outcome, but it completely shifts the story from one of simple apathy to one of ambiguity, confusion, and real fear. But that initial story, even the inaccurate version of it, was so incredibly powerful that it kicked off decades of research into this social phenomenon that, it turns out, affects every single one of us, the bystander effect. So what is it? Put simply, the bystander effect is this bizarre, counterintuitive idea that the more people who are around to witness an emergency, the less likely it is that any one of them will step up and help. It's the total opposite of that old saying, safety in numbers. Okay, check this out. In this classic experiment by two social psychologists, Latani and Darley, participants were made to believe someone in another room was having a seizure. Now, when a participant thought they were the only person who knew about it, a whopping 85% of them rushed to get help. But watch what happens. Add just one other bystander to the situation, and the helping rate drops all the way down to 62%. With 4 other people present, it plummets to a shocking 31%. This really gets to the core paradox of human nature. The more people who could help, the fewer people who actually do. It's wild. So if it's not just that we're all cold-hearted and apathetic, what in the world is stopping us from helping? Well, psychologists have pinpointed 3 major mental roadblocks that get in our way. First up, there's something called diffusion of responsibility. Okay, imagine the responsibility to help is a pizza pie. If you're the only one there, you've got the whole pie. It's all on you. But if there are 10 other people standing around, suddenly your slice of the pie feels tiny. And you start thinking, well, surely someone else will call for help, someone who's closer or more qualified or just knows what to do. The second barrier is pluralistic ignorance. This is all about uncertainty. You see something weird, like, is that person sleeping on the bench or are they unconscious? So what do? You look around to see how everyone else is reacting. But here's the catch. Everyone else is doing the exact same thing. They're all looking around, trying to play it cool. Since nobody is freaking out, we all collectively decide, oh, I guess it must be fine. And this dangerous loop of doing nothing begins. And finally, there's evaluation apprehension, which is basically just the fear of being judged. I mean, we worry about looking stupid, right? What if we rush in to help and it turns out it was just a prank? Or we totally misunderstood what was happening? That fear of public embarrassment can be an incredibly powerful reason to stay put. So what all these barriers show us is that helping isn't just one simple choice. It's actually a whole chain of decisions. And those same psychologists, Latane and Darley, they broke it down into 5 crucial steps. And if our brain says no at any point on this path, we just don't act. Okay, so it all starts with just noticing that something is happening. But that's not enough. Then you have to interpret it as a real emergency. Next, you have to feel that it's your responsibility to do something, not someone else's. And even then, you have to actually know what to do. Should you call for help? Should you step in? And finally, you have to make that last conscious decision to act. It's like a mental obstacle course you have to get through in seconds. So here's the really crucial point. Those 3 barriers we just talked about, they can knock us off this path at any moment. Pluralistic ignorance, for instance, makes us fail at step 2. We decide it's not really an emergency. And diffusion of responsibility, that makes us fail at step 3. We decide it's not our problem. There are just so many points where the whole process can break down. Now, I know this might all sound a little bleak, like our brains are just wired to fail, but they're not. Just understanding these psychological traps is the biggest step you can take to disarming them. So the real question is, how do we become an active bystander instead of a passive one? Well, experts have come up with this really handy toolkit they call the 5Ds, and it gives you options. The point is, you don't always have to jump in and be a hero. You can distract to de-escalate things. You can delegate, and this one is huge, by pointing to one person and saying, "You in the red shirt, call 911." That breaks the diffusion of responsibility right there. You can document what's happening from a safe distance, or you can simply delay and check in with the person afterward to make sure they're okay. And only if it feels safe for you, then you can intervene directly. The bystander effect is a really powerful, fundamental force of human psychology, but it is not unbeatable. Just being aware of these mental traps is your single best defense against them. So the next time you see something uncertain, something that makes you pause, remember, everyone else is probably feeling just as frozen as you are. Your one action, no matter how small, might be the very thing that breaks the cycle and makes all the difference in the world.